Hello friends, how are you doing today? In this video, we are going to see the answer for the question that we discussed last week. So I'm going to share the screen and we'll go over the question first and then we'll talk about the answer, how we are going to achieve this one. All right, so this is the question that we asked last week, right? You're a seasoned solution architect working for a retail or finance or insurance company, your organization has been exploring the generative AI implementation with your existing architecture. As a solution architect, how will you help your CTO to start this initiative? And what are all your approaches and key things to consider to adopt generative AI? Create a pattern or template architecture to infuse generative AI with your existing architecture. So this was the question that we asked last week, and some of you answered it, but let's go through the details of how we are going to answer this question, okay? So first one, how will you help your CTO to start this initiative? Normally, when it comes to solution architecture, if you are a seasoned solution architect, you must definitely work with your CTO closely because the CTO is the one who knows the architecture vision clearly. So work with him or her just to get to know about the architecture vision. And for that, you must schedule calls with CTO to understand the architecture vision. And normally, when it comes to architecture vision, he has the clear vision about where the organization, whether it is a retail company or banking services company or insurance company, where the architecture vision is going to be and how the organization is moving towards the new technology or adopting generative AI, so and so. So you must have the clear discussion with your CTO to get to know about the architecture vision first. And before going to talk to your CTO about get to know about the architecture vision, you must prepare yourself and understand what are all the generative AI capabilities available in the market and how you are going to um, propose your idea to the CTO so that CTO can trust you. So make sure that you have your homework done to analyze about all the architecture patterns and what are all the generative AI infused strategies available in the market and get to know about it and go on talk to the CTO to get to know more about the architecture vision. And also, you must know about the vendor solutions. For example, if you take generative AI, there are multiple vendors available in the market. So make sure that you go through those vendor technologies. And if your organization has the particular vendor already chosen, get to know about that vendor and what are all the solutions provided by that vendor. Know all these things and go on talk to the CTO and understand the architecture vision. And second major category is you must know the business use cases or problem areas your organization is facing. For that, you must know, you must talk to your business stakeholders and understand what are all the key business problems and find out that first. If your business doesn't have any kind of business use cases, since you already talked to your CTO and understood the architecture vision, understand the key business stakeholders' requirements and schedule a call with the business stakeholders and understand them how you can implement these business use cases with the help of the technology that you identified and discussed with the CTO. And next thing is once after identifying the business use cases, you must have multiple calls with the business team to prioritize the business use case and pick one particular business use case that is really required for implementing and achieving the key benefit out of the generative AI technology. And once that is done, go to the development team, have a call with the development team and explain about the business problems or business use case and come up with a clear understanding of how this can be achieved with the help of the development team, and also make sure that the development team has the required skills to implement this particular architecture for your organization. Suppose if your development team doesn't have a right skill, make sure that you identify the skill gap and fill the skill gap with the help of other teams like CTO and other executive directors, and make sure that your development is fully equipped for implementing this project. And similarly, you must go to the operations team and talk to the operations team and understand how the existing operations are working. And suppose if new technology like generative AI is brought into your organization, whether organization's operations team has the capability to adopt these generative AI skills. Make sure that they have the required skills. And if you identify any skills gap, go and talk to the executive director or CTOs and address those skills gap. And similarly, you must work with the platform team, because platform team is the one that implements or deploys your application on the platform. Suppose if your application needs AI capability that can be implemented with the help of the technology which is available in the platform, you can make use of it. For example, Red Hat OpenShift is a platform, and that has the infused AI technologies in the platform. So you must know whether we can leverage those AI capabilities for your application. So you must modify the architecture accordingly, because there are some open source technologies, or there are some built-in AI capabilities available in the market. So you can take that and infuse with your architecture. And next thing is prioritize the use case. That is key. You must be working with business stakeholders continuously until this implementation is done. So sometimes a business team comes with new business problem that may take the priority to existing one. So until one particular use case is finalized, make sure that you work with the business team and understand the finalized business use case to be implemented. For that, you must prioritize the business use case by working along with the business team. There are certain tools available in the market for the business use case prioritization or business problem prioritization. As a solution architect, you must know what are all the factors affecting this business use case. For example, when you implement this business use case, who is the beneficiary, who is going to get benefit out of this project, and what is the cost saving associated with that, and what is the total cost of ownership going to reduce, and how you are going to achieve with the help of other stakeholders in the organization. So make sure that you list out all the factors and evaluate the business use case and pick the one business use case that is going to impact the organization in a better way. For that, you must know what are all the impact analysis tools available. Use that and do the impact analysis on all the business problems or use cases identified, and pick the key critical business use case that can be implemented, that will give some business value to your organization, so that you can follow that pattern for implementing this particular architecture for other LOBs also. So do that level of analysis and come up with one final use case. And next thing is documenting the findings. Whatever you have done, like types of tool used, and what are all the business use cases, and what are all the factors you consider to do the impact analysis. Do all these findings in a documentation, and make sure that this document is shared to all the key stakeholders who are involved in this project. And finally, you can propose the architecture approaches. So once after identifying and finalizing particular use case, you can come up with multiple approaches of implementing this particular architecture. How you can plan to bring in this existing architecture, and what type of infusion layer that you're going to create, and how you are accessing the generative AI models, whether you're going to access by installing the model in your architecture or in your environment, the models which are running in the cloud environment, are you going to access those models by using API calls? So propose multiple options with the knowledge what you have, and propose these architecture approaches with your CTO, so that he can suggest the best approach. And coming to the infusion of generative AI in your architecture, first you must know what is existing architecture, what are all the components involved in the existing architecture, whether the existing architecture is legacy one or modern one. Is the existing architecture running in the on-premises or cloud? Make sure that you have a clear understanding of the existing architecture and what are all the components involved. And then analyze and understand the generative platforms and services. Normally, when it comes to the solution architecture, as a solution architect, you must have the understanding of what are all the generative platforms available in the market. What I mean here is whether you can go with what's next solution provided by IBM or OpenAI solutions, or any other open source AI technologies, and what are all the services available in the AI, whether you can access as a service, or you can implement in your on-premises environment. Make sure that you have thorough understanding of that. And coming to the model types and model size and also AI tasks, you must have thorough knowledge about what are all the models available in the market, model types, whether it is going to helpful for your summarization, Q&A, or data classification, or is it going to be used for your media needs, or is it going to be used for your large language model needs. So make sure that you understand the model types clearly. So this will be critical for the solution architects who are involving with infusing the generative AI for any of the organization. And model size. When it comes to model size, you must pick LLM or SLM. Um, Normally, LLMs are large language models that can be used in your organization if you have the capacity to deploy that type of model, or you can access by calling as a service. When it comes to small language models, SLM, it can be deployed in your organization because the size is small and you don't need the big infrastructure as that of a large language model. So understand these limitations of each model types. And coming to a task, you must know whether the A task is summarization task, classification task, or identification of the key patterns, or whatever it may be. Like, just make sure that you have the clear understanding of a task. And next thing is, you must work with the data architects and AI architects. So why you need to work with data architects and AI architects? As a solution architect, you might be dealing with all the legacy architecturing techniques, and also you might be working with legacy architecture technologies. But when it comes to generative AI, data architects are the one who are performing a lot of activities over here, because data is the key for generative AI. You must be using the data to train the model. So work with data architect. Data architect might be working with the data scientists and data engineers. So they have the capability to analyze the data, existing data, collect the data, organize the data, and infuse the data with the AI. So curate the data. These type of activities will be done by the data architect team. So make sure that you work with the data architect team and understand the quality of data available in your organization. The quality is very important here. And also, you must work with the AI architect who has the data scientist in the team, who has the ability to do the training of the model and prompting of the model. So, as a solution architect, you must work with data architects and AI architect so that you can produce a clean architecture for your organization to infuse the generative AI. And next thing is, check the feasibility of generative AI infusion. Some of the organization may not have all the existing capabilities to infuse with the generative AI. So, as a solution architect, you must know the feasibility of your organization, whether we can confidently go and adapt this generative AI for your organization, or some changes need to be done in your existing organization or existing architecture. So, make sure that you do that homework before thinking about infusing the generative AI. Now you have the capability and you have all the details required for producing the architecture diagram. So with all the information you collected so far, list it out and prepare the architecture approach diagram, and prepare the document that has all the details that you collected in the previous steps. Coming to the next question, what are your approaches and key findings to consider to adopt this generative AI? And now you collected all the informations required for creating the architecture. So you must create types of architectures, like the architecture approaches, like whether you're going to use the existing architecture just to infuse the generative AI, or you're going to alter the existing architecture to adopt the generative AI. Prepare all these architecture diagrams with multiple options, option A, option B, option C, etc. And schedule a call with architecture review board. So every organization has the feature or facility or capability like architecture review board. In that architecture review board, you can see the enterprise architect, the data architects, lead architects of all the areas, whether it is business, data, technology, application architect. So all these lead architects will be part of this architecture review board. So you must present your options with all the standing points to make sure that your architecture is valid for this particular architecture vision, and get that review done by presenting all the architecture options and get the feedback from architecture review board. That is important because every architect, lead architects in the architecture review board give their feedback in terms of their focus areas. For example, business architects will give you the feedback of your architecture, how that is going to impact the business, and the data architect, data lead architect in the architecture review board will give you the feedback related to the data impacts. And similarly, application architect in the architecture review board will give you the impacts about how this is going to impact the application side. Similarly, for the technology implementation, like hardware and software impacts of the organization will be given to you, so that you can get to know about all these areas and implement these feedbacks in your architecture, so that the final architecture will be perfect. And finalize the architecture approach after implementing all these things and keep it ready for the implementation. Now we are coming for the implementation work. As a solution architect, you are the one responsible for implementing this architecture. So you must prepare the implementation plan. So how will you prepare the implementation plan? You must walk through the final architecture that you have come up with after getting all the feedbacks from your architecture review board, and also the stakeholders, key stakeholders involving in this activity, and then integration with your existing architecture. So the final architecture you produced definitely will have the approaches required for implementing generative AI in your organization, but you might not have considered about integrating with existing architecture. So if not, just consider that as well, and showcase the final architecture that has the integration of both existing architecture and the new architecture that has generative AI technologies. And work with infra team. Infrastructure team is key here because based on the architecture approach that you have come up with, whether you may need to modify the existing infrastructure, or do you need to buy additional hardware component or any additional software components needed. So work with infrastructure architect to make sure that your architecture fits perfectly with the existing architecture, or new infrastructure has to be produced. And then work with the platform architect team and platform architects or platform team and operations team, and explain about your finalized architecture approach, and make sure that they have the clear understanding of how this architecture can be implemented in your organization. And finally, prepare the implementation plan accordingly, so that you will cover the infrastructure, platform, technology, and data changes, all 360-degree views of the stakeholders impact and the platform infrastructure and development team impact, all those to be covered in your implementation plan. So make sure that your implementation plan covers all these things. And next one is MVP. So now you have done all your homework, you prepared the finalized architecture, and you discussed with infra team, platform team, development team, technology team, and you made sure that your architecture can be implemented perfectly without any problem, right? And you do have the implementation plan, so make sure that you execute that plan properly, and review the plan with the key stakeholders, and understand the impacts, document the impacts, and prepare the mitigation plan if there are any risks going to be expected. Make sure that all homeworks are done and start your minimum viable product now. So normally, when it comes to executing the architecture with a minimum viable product, you can prefer to go with your local environment or any of the cloud environment if your organization has the cloud strategy or public cloud services being used in your organization. And when it comes to minimum viable product, it must involve minimum one function or max two functions only. Do not pull in all the functions of the business problem or business use case. That will be a mess because minimum viable products should be minimum, so that you can easily implement and check the feasibility of bringing in generative AI to your organization. And once after implementing this minimum function, minimum one function or two functions, in your environment or any of your public cloud service provider environment, validate the implementation, whether that particular function is working as expected. And also get a go from your business team. And business team knows more about the functionality. For example, if your business team is planning to implement this generative AI architecture for your organization to improve the productivity, reduce the cost, and save the cost, or reduce the total cost of ownership, so they know better in terms of business. So showcase this functionality and make sure that they understand the business impact and get a go from the business team for implementing this particular project. And once the minimum viable product is successful, make sure that you have a non-production implementation plan. This is key because your minimum viable product is the first step to make sure that your architecture works fine. And non-production implementation is the next step to make sure that you have full-fledged implementation of all the functionalities identified as part of the business use case identification or business problems. So along with the minimum viable product, you must increase all the functionality scopes to implement in the non-production environment. Normally, when it comes to non-production implementation, you must think smart in MVP itself. Like when you do the MVP, create the functionalities or assets or tools that can be reused in the non-production implementation. That's key because you can avoid duplicate work when you implement this in the production and non-production both. So make sure that you can reuse the functionalities developed and implemented in the minimum viable product and bring in those functionalities and add additional functionalities so that you can you can implement full-fledged implementation of the business use case in non-production environment. And for that, as a solution architect, you must work with the dev team, and the dev team will make sure the API calls are made and API development pieces are done, and how they are calling the capabilities of generative AI, how they implement that in the existing architecture, and keep working with the development team to implement this generative AI use case. And also, you must work with the testing team. Testing team is the one that tests all the functionalities implemented properly. There is no impact to the existing functionalities, and how the performance testing is done. What are all the outcomes after implementing generative AI architecture in your existing architecture? So these are all the things that need to be known or collected by you as a solution architect and validated to make sure that your architecture works fine in the non-production or development environment. And also coming to the non-functional requirement validation, whether your architecture is adhering to the well-architected framework, whether the scalability, high availability, reliability, all those key factors are addressed with the help of the well-architected framework or non-functional requirement framework available in your organization. Make sure that you do that validation. And once after implementing all the functionalities in your business use case and implemented the project in your development environment or non-production environment, first document everything and get the sign off from your key stakeholders. So the key stakeholders list involves like business team, the enterprise architect team, architecture review board, CTO, etc. So this sign up is very much needed because you're going to make a big change to your organization. So make sure that you have proper sign off from each stakeholders. So when it comes to production implementation, this is a little different from non-production implementation. Because the customer impacts are going to happen in the production deployment, production environment. So prepare your production implementation plan carefully and make sure that you cover all the phase-wise approach of implementing the solution for one particular area and validate that implementation, whether it is working fine and there is no customer impact, and then extend this approach for other servers so that you can easily avoid the major failures in production environment. So always go with blue-green deployment when it comes to production deployment. So I have done many videos in the blue-green deployment. You can go and explore. I'll provide the links in the description below. You can always go and explore. And when it comes to production deployment, you must know the HADR strategies, high availability and disaster recovery strategies. As a solution architect, you must tell these strategies to your stakeholders and understand the importance of high availability and disaster recovery. Normally, when it comes to the deployment of this type of architecture, go for hybrid cloud deployment. That will give you the high availability because hybrid cloud deployment approach will have the containerization capability inside it. So pick for it so that your high availability will be taken care by automatically. And prepare the disaster recovery environment, which is similar to your primary deployment environment, and make sure that your disaster recovery environment is not going to cost additional money to your organization, and plan those strategies. I will provide more details about the disaster recovery environment setup in future videos. But if you have some specific question about how we can set up disaster recovery environment, please put your question in the comment. We can discuss further. And next one is monitoring solutions. This is very important. Normally, when it comes to organizations, they'll take light in the monitoring area because monitoring solutions cost more. They think that those monitoring solutions are not required at this stage because we do have people to monitor. That is not going to work out in terms of the generative AI architecture implementation because the generative AI is so powerful. You must always monitor. If the monitoring is failing, the impact will be more. So there are plenty of powerful monitoring capabilities available. I'll provide the link in the description. Go and explore it. And when it comes to day two operations, as a solution architect, you must guide your operations team and showcase what are all the steps available in the day two operations and make sure that they follow it thoroughly during the production deployment. And once the deployment is done and you would be doing this maintenance and management, you may have dedicated team to do that. Make sure that that team awares about all the capabilities of generative AI solutions, all the functionalities of generative AI solutions, and which area to be maintained and monitored properly, and what are all the key factors that they have to consider while monitoring. Guide them, support them, and travel with them for maintenance and management of your solution in the production. And now your responsibility will go a little low because the project is running in the production. You will be focusing on the next project, next architecture, but participate in the continuous improvement of the existing architecture. And if there are any changes needed, bring in these changes and follow all the procedure that we discussed and implement the change as part of the change management process. So these are all the key things as a solution architect you must follow and implement the generative AI architecture for your organization, or integrate the generative AI solution for your existing architecture. And next question is create a pattern or template architecture to infuse generative AI with your existing architecture. So I have come up with a simple architecture diagram. So when you answer this type of question to the interviewer, you can explain it in different ways, but this is one of the ways so that you can quickly explain how you're going to integrate the generative AI solution with your existing architecture. So if you look at this, the user is your customer who is accessing the UI in your organization's key critical project, and that project has UI and that has integration layer, DB layer. It's a typical architecture, application architecture that talks to the data layer and pulls the data and presents the data details to the customer. So here you want to improve the user experience, user satisfaction improvement, operation efficiency, and you are going to infuse this particular architecture with the generative AI architecture. For that, you must definitely create a AI layer. So basically, this AI layer is going to talk to your integration layer. This AI layer consists of APIs to call the models, and this AI layer will have the APIs to call the governance capabilities, and this AI layer will have the capabilities to call additional external third-party tools which are specific to the generative AI technology. So here in this case, I have provided model studio and model library. So if your organization is planning to adopt the generative AI for the existing architecture, you must know which model you are going to use, and the model has to be prompted with the data, and also the model should be available in the model library to pick for your specific use case. And when it comes to using the model, make sure that your model is governed with a governance architecture or governance layer. So basically, what it does, when you train the model with particular data, the data should be curated data, and data should not have any vulnerabilities, any PAE data to train this model, any data that is going to cause reputation failure, any data that is going to cause any organization failure. So make sure that those data are not used. You must use the governed data. For that, you must use the governed technologies like what's next governance from IBM. That is the one of the powerful governance generative AI tool available in the market. So make sure that that is being used to govern your model, govern your data. And data governance is another key part. As I explained here, you must focus on collecting, organizing, analyzing, and curating the data and infusing the data governance. That will help your organization to not to fail in this world, generative AI world. Normally, when it comes to adopting generative AI, everyone is rushing to adopt generative AI, but forgetting about governing the model, governing the data. If you do that, there will be a big disaster. Your existing architecture will also fail, your organization reputation also fail. So make sure that you explore the governance of generative AI and how you can implement the governance of generative AI with your existing architecture. So this is the high-level overview of how you can integrate the existing architecture with the generative AI architecture. So this is the question and answer: how, as a solution architect, you can integrate generative AI architecture with your existing architecture, and what are all the key focus areas, and how do you communicate this particular architecture with your CTO, and what are all the steps that you take care when creating this type of generative AI architecture and integrating with the existing architecture. And also, I provided a simple architecture diagram that shows your existing architecture and your generative AI architecture, how you can infuse these two together and get the complete benefit out of it. I'm going to provide another interesting question in the next video. And if you like this video, give a thumbs up and share it to your friends so that they will also get benefit out of it. Take care. Bye.